Welcome back to Season 2 of the Banter podcast. What is up, everybody? We are back. We took a month off after Season 1 ended, try to regroup, come up with a couple things. But we are back here. I'm Brennan Kirkpatrick. I'm going to be your host for the beginning of Season 2. I'm joined alongside, as always, by Korey and Kyle Pritchard. Boys, how are you doing today?
Feeling great right now. Feeling so great.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Loving the Houston Rockets win streak that we're on right now. Good stuff happening. Loving Rockets. March Madness. I haven't watched the March Madness tournament so in-depthly in the last couple of years, so I'm happy to be
It's been a great tournament.
Into it.
It's been a great tournament. MLB opening days today, so I have the Pirates game on right now. So if you see me with my head up like this, that's because I'm watching the Pirates play. Currently, they have a runner on second on a 2-0 count. O'Neal Cruz up to bat. So maybe they could run here in the 10th inning, get the first dub of the season. But anyways, that's not what we're here for. We are here for some great questions and some great discussion, some great debates that are going to happen today. We got a great speed round. And before I explain the rules,
way to toot your own horn there. Great questions, great speed round.
Yeah. Hey. Great everything because I'm the host today. But anyways, for those of you who are new to the podcast for Season 2, I'll explain the format real quickly. So these two are going to be given a question. If they answer and agree, they're going to get a minute to talk it out, and they will get a point. If they disagree, they'll have 35 seconds to explain their view. Then they will have a minute and a half to try and reach a compromise. The goal is to reach 10 points in the game or in the podcast in the course of 25 minutes. If they cannot reach 10 points, they will go into a speed round where they will try to come up with however many points they need to reach 10. Once they reach 10, podcast ends. If they don't, they will be on the hook for a punishment at the end of the season, which we need to do one for this season, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But guys, without further ado, let me pull up the first question. And you know what? Since it's MLB opening day, and since, there's a lot going on with the MLB right now, especially with Shohei Ohtani, let's see what your opinion with this is. So the first question here. With everything that's happened in this Ohtani situation, the MLB only has a couple of options. What solution would you give to resolve this issue if Ohtani is found guilty? Your 25 minutes starts now. Okay, Korey got an answer? All right.
That's exactly what I said.
All right, well, you guys, right off the bat here, a minute to talk this out. First agreeance of the Season 2.
Okay, so we said to sweep everything under the rug, which is an answer that I don't like saying because I'm a big morals guy. But, I feel like the MLB doesn't have a lot of options here because baseball is thriving in a way that I personally feel like it hasn't been doing in years before Ohtani came in. And I feel like it's really bad for investors or sponsors or whoever you want to backpedal on Pete Rose. I also don't want Pete Rose involved in baseball, so I feel like that's not an option you can take. I feel like you got to try to give some light punishment, sweep everything under the rug.
Yeah. And again, I totally agree with what you just said. I'm also a big morals guy, but when the face of your league is that big and it's that bad, apparently, it's going to be kind of like the Tom Brady situation where it's you might get a few games or whatever, but it's not going to be probably as much as what people want.
Yeah, and honestly, that's just the standard in professional sports at this point. You see that with even lesser players. If you're going to be nice to Draymond Green, let him stick around, you got to stick Shohei Ohtani, face of baseball. You got to keep him there.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways the MLB could go about it, but until then, Ohtani is still balling out in Los Angeles today. I saw that double he had earlier. Absolute cranker of a hit. But anyway, let's go on to the NBA. And guys, we're going to be talking about the rookie phenom, Victor Wembenyama. So where does he rank currently among all NBA players right now? Right now, all time. All right. So you guys have a bit of a couple of different answers here, but a compromise can be reached, I believe. So, Korey, 35 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, so I said late 30s, and personally, I thought that was low considering where a lot of people have him right now. They have him almost in the top 20. But just to spoil Kyle's answer a little bit, he has him down in the 40s and the 50s. And the reason why I don't have him that low is because I struggle to think of that many people that are better than Wembenyama, but I can think of at least 30 people who are making more of an impact on winning than he is right now. I think he's in the same range as guys like Rudy Gobert, who he is behind in Defensive Player of the Year right now, and guys like Chet Holmgren, who I still think has a case for Rookie of the Year, even though people say Wembenyama is pulling ahead. So I have him in there.
All right. Perfect. Kyle, go ahead, 35 seconds.
I think we kind of thought of this question a little differently, but I think we're going to get to an agreement here because, like, Victor Wembanyama, as you said, is, like, I think the second place right now for Defensive Player of the Year. And, like, the Spurs, I think defensively as a team are not that great. So it's really, really incredible the job that he is doing right now in San Antonio, averaging, 20 points a game, 10 rebounds a game. And he legally cannot drink alcohol in the U.S., which is really crazy. But I said top 50s to 40s because, like, he's a rookie. Like, I know he's going to be great, but, like, I could probably think of 40 guys that I would say have.
Can you really think of 40 guys that are better than
30? Go ahead.
Right now.
Right. Okay. Again, it's different because I'm putting into consideration. Is it either, like, historically who I would rather?
I think we agree that we're saying now. We're saying right now.
Now, I would probably find myself struggling.
You really think that that he's in the 50s? I mean, like, I struggle to even say that with, like, Chet Holmgren. Like, I think Chet Holmgren is like, I don't think he can go lower than 40. I don't think that's something you can have happen right now. I mean, you see winning players, and then you see guys like Wembenyama who are candidates for a major award of Defensive Player of the Year. As much as you may want to devalue defense, the guy's averaging 3.5 blocks per game. I don't think you have that many people in front of him.
And again, it was a mix of their historical significance to the game, or even, like, if you had last few years.
30
and,
seconds.
Like, who I would have now.
Okay. So let me just ask this then, Kyle. There are 30 teams in the NBA right now. Do you think that about half of those teams have two players that are better than Victor Wembanyama?
No.
Then I think that he sits. I think he sits late 30s.
I put 50s to 40s through a bunch of different contexts, but the way you're explaining it, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Korey reaches the last second agreement on Kyle to get up to 2. But anyways, let's move on here. Let's go to the NFL. A bit of a basic question. There's a lot of NFL rule changes coming out these past couple of days. So I want to hear what you guys think is going to be the most exciting new rule implemented this NFL season.
I feel like there's really only one answer to this, depending on how. Okay. I mean, that's not what I determined exciting, but I mean, okay.
I think it's very exciting.
All right, Korey. Korey, you answered first. Go ahead.
Okay, so I said the new kickoff rules. This is going to change the NFL and the way we watch the NFL in a way that we've never really seen before. What I find really exciting about this is that I feel like we're actually going to be able to watch the game be played in a safer way. Whereas if you have what we have right now, where there are not a lot of kickoffs that aren't leading to touchbacks, so sure, there aren't as many injuries, but that's not watching the game be played safer. That's just removing a key part of the game so that there are less injuries. I think you are actively watching a safer, more fluid NFL, and I think that's going to be exciting to watch whether you like it or not.
Okay. And Kyle, you go ahead.
So technically not a new rule, but I guess it is. It's moving the trade deadline back a week because, it made sense through a 17-week season because that was roughly in the middle. So it made sense for teams to kind of recollect and be like, okay, what we need at this exact time and stuff like that. But now with the extra week and I think we're probably going to get more. I think we're probably going to get to 20 weeks by the next decade, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think giving the teams more time to figure out what they want to do before they can really make a push for the playoffs is, I think, more important. Because kickoffs, we can talk about kickoffs, but
that is your time.
They've not meant a lot for a while.
All right, a minute 30.
Even then, I don't think they're going to be.
Go ahead.
Korey?
Hello?
Hey, sorry, my thing just cut out. But
that's all right.
Yeah, I don't know if you started the discussion at all, but I do think that that counts as a rule change. I mean, I definitely consider that. But I don't know if exciting is the word that I would use to talk about the trade deadline moving back by literally 1 week. I mean, what is really going to change? Like, do you really think that if we had the trade deadline 1 week later this year, that you would have seen a lot more deals?
Yeah, because I think last year's trade deadline was not that big, at least compared to.
And 1 week is going to make that difference. I don't think it is. What you can guarantee is going to make a difference 100% is that kickoffs are going to change right now. You're not going to have 75% of all kickoffs leading to touchbacks, which is boring, which, I mean, that's a waste of 2 minutes of my life if I'm watching a touchback. And that also is making improvements toward a more healthy and different NFL kind of landscape. So that's something that you can guarantee. You can guarantee that kind of excitement. You can't guarantee that you're going to see 10 more trades just because you're moving the deadline back by a week.
I don't know, because like I feel like as a whole, and I know it radically changes it and like whatever. I feel like as a whole, kickoffs are not that entertaining. They haven't been.
And that is your time.
It's going to really affect it at the end of the day.
Yeah, but is a touchback entertaining? The least entertaining part of a football game is watching them kick it past and then move to the 20-yard line.
And there you go.
All right, so it sounds like you guys disagree, which is the first disagreement of the new season. So you're going to maybe need to make up for that in the speed round. But it's all right because anyways – we're going to answer this question before the games actually start. I don't know if they started yet or not, but
no, they haven't.
If they haven't, all right, they have not this started. All right, perfect.
So 7:09 actually is when they start.
Okay, well, in 1 minute, so in 1 minute before the game starts, let's hear your guys' most exciting game in the Sweet 16 for this year's NCAA tournament. Okay.
That was my second choice.
All right, so Korey, you answered first again. I'll let you go first.
Okay, so I took Iowa State and Illinois out of consideration in my mind because it was between these two, and I knew this episode was going to release Friday, where that game's already happening. So I can definitely reach an agreement on this. But for Houston and Duke, I feel like we got two polar opposite teams on two polar opposite wavelengths right now. You've got Houston, which is a very defensive-minded team that I really like. They play a lot of small ball guard play, which I think is really awesome. Whereas Duke, they're running through their big man Kyle right now, their 7-footer, and he's scoring a ton of points. They're big scores. And they're running through a big man, which is very different. And they're coming off of a lot of momentum, whereas Houston is coming off of a very scary, almost loss in the round of 32. So I think that's going to be a really exciting matchup.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Kyle.
And I think that was my second choice for this. But honestly, I love this Iowa State-Illinois game. I think you talk again, two polar opposites. In the Ken Palm rankings, Illinois is number 1 in offensive efficiency. Iowa State is number 1 in defensive efficiency. So neither team has ever has ever played a game so far this season that is going to be comparable to this one. I think you can argue again that there's going to be matchups that are going to be a little more methodical, a little more clean than this one. But I think I'm stuck and firm on Iowa State, Illinois.
All right, minute 30.
Okay, so, and I do realize that there are some people out there that think that Iowa State is going to win it all. Some people may say that Illinois is going to win it all. But I think the reason why I really like my matchup here is that Houston is a contender. And after the round of 32, I don't know if people are really having them, like, if people are super comfortable about having chosen them to win their brackets after they almost lost to Texas A&M. I mean, that was a really scary end of that game. So, and I really like that against Duke, where Duke is on the rise and Duke may be coming back, big historically basketball team. Whereas Illinois and Iowa, Iowa State, you just said that neither of those teams have gotten a lot of competition. I don't know if either of them are as highly ranked as you want them to be.
Sure. But I think I saw a stat somewhere that Duke has not beaten a higher seed in tournament in like 40 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's
exactly.
right.
Really, really crazy.
He got 30 seconds, by the way.
You could argue that if they do win that game, and again, I think name-wise on paper, I think Houston-Duke is probably the best game, aside from UNC-Alabama. Name-wise, like Houston, because especially recently have been very good, and Duke, obviously, with kind of the blue blood status.
Yes.
I think the best game today is that. I think the best game tomorrow is Iowa State, Illinois. But
Iowa State, Illinois is today.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and Duke Houston is tomorrow. But yeah, we can agree.
All right.
My point still stands. I think.
Okay.
We can agree.
A bit of a miscommunication there from Kyle, but you know what? You agree, and that is 3 points going into question 4, and let's bring it back around to the MLB. So, unfortunately, already we've seen a lot of pitching injuries. Garrett Cole, Sonny Gray getting hurt during spring training, and then Sandy Alcantara, Brandon Woodruff out for the season with Tommy John. But I want to know who you guys think is going to be the most impacted by losing their ace for a significant amount of time. So what MLB team is going to be hurt the most by this? Okay, Kyle. Mm-hmm. And Korey. All right. So, Kyle, you picked the Yankees, Garrett Cole, but Yankees. You get it. Korey picked no team. So, Kyle, go ahead. Tell us why the Yankees are most impacted.
Okay, so the Yankees are going to miss, already kind of meddling pitching staff. I would think they're missing the reigning Cy Young winner from last year, and I think especially in a division that is, I would argue, probably the tightest in the MLB right now, with the Orioles, with the Red Sox, with the Rays, and whoever else is there. I think it's the tightest division in the league. So you're going to need any help that you can get. And I think if one of the best pitchers, not even like last year, but of the last few years, you're going to miss for a certain amount of time, not great.
Time there. And Korey, go ahead.
Okay, so I said nobody's really going to be impacted in this kind of major way. I mean, the MLB, it's a next up kind of league. You have to see pitchers cycling through all the time anyway in a regular lineup. You can't have one pitcher carrying your entire team. And if that's the case, then I think one injury here is not going to be making as much of a difference, especially since if I'm getting a major injury, I think now is when I want it, whenever I'm starting my team and my identity for the season. So I feel like that's better. Also, you see guys like Garrett Cole and you see guys like Clay. They're not necessarily the biggest pitchers, most necessary guys, I feel. So I feel like nobody's really dying from losing their ace here. I feel like they just have to shift their identity and adapt.
All right. Anyways, let's talk it out.
So I think that's a fair argument, but I think literally the guy I mentioned is like the most important pitcher. So if you from last year at the very least,
Garrett Cole, you think?
And Garrett Cole. So if you miss a guy like him for at really any amount of time, you're going to start slow, and that might not be good for you for the rest of the season.
Sure, but if you're thinking of the Yankees, I don't feel like the average non-sports fan even knows that Garrett Cole is on the Yankees right now. I mean, maybe that's a little bit of an overstatement, but you're thinking of guys like Aaron Judge. You're thinking of those offensive players. You're not necessarily thinking about the pitching. I feel like the identity of the Yankees isn't really changing from not having that. But that being said, I do think that it is going to make a pretty big impact that he's gone. But do you agree that if you're having that impact, that you should have that now?
You literally just said it's going to have a big impact. So
okay, yeah, they're going to be an impact, but they're not crumbling as a franchise because of this.
I mean, I'm not saying as a franchise. I'm saying
okay. So you still think that the Yankees could adapt and keep winning without Garrett Cole?
Certainly help if they had their guy. If they had Cy Young
last
year.
Fine, we agree then.
All right. You guys agree on the New York Yankees, and I believe that is 4 agreements, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. All right. Anyways, let's go to our lone NHL question of the day. And what team who's on the outside looking in right now has the best chance to make the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I mean, if you look at the standings.
All right. And you guys agree.
Yeah.
So
if you look at the standings, there's really only one option right now. I feel like there aren't very many teams that are going to be able to jump back up and cover that gap other than the Detroit Red Wings. So.
I think the teams that are in the place right now are where they're going to be. But if there is going to be a team that's going to leap over another one, I think it's going to be Detroit. They have games in hand against Washington. I think they play them as well. And they have some pretty easy games. They have a game against Pittsburgh. They have a game against Buffalo. They have a game or two against the Canadiens. So it definitely is possible because I do think that the Capitals are kind of trailing off, kind of like the Warriors this year. They're not exactly in the spot that they usually are every year. So I think there is a chance that they could leapfrog them. But right now, I believe most of them
Yeah, Detroit is definitely the team to watch right now. But I also kind of agree. I don't know if they're going to make that move, but it's really either Detroit or the Devils from New Jersey, I think. And I don't really trust in them enough. I think Red Wings are the team to watch on the fringe.
Yeah.
All right.
The Red Wings had a pretty good beginning of the season as well.
All right, that's 5 agreements here. And if my mouse would work, there we go. We'll get it. Let's go back to the NFL, and let's talk about some free agency here. So What free agent has been the best signing so far this offseason, in your opinion?
Starting off the new season with some softballs, Brennan.
Hey, well, you got to get acclimated, back into the swing of
Kyle.
things.
Okay, Kyle.
Okay. So, Korey, go ahead.
Okay, so I said Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens. I think as far as high profile signings actually go, it's really either him or Saquon Barkley in my mind. And I don't really like Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles. Derrick Henry, meanwhile, going into an offense that is already run-oriented through Lamar Jackson, but really needs an actual running back kind of player. I think he fits in really seamlessly, especially since he's kind of on the decline of his career right now. He's going to be able to fill in, do what he does best without really having to carry the entire load that he was holding in Tennessee. So I feel like that's a great option for him, and I'm excited to see it.
Yep, and Kyle.
And I agree name-wise. I think that is probably the biggest signing. But I said Russell Wilson and Steelers, and moreover, the entire overhaul that the Steelers have done to the quarterback room, which I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm a little impartial to this. But the fact that they had Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph on that roster, and they were paying them however much money. And this year, I think collectively they're going to pay both of those guys, I think $3 or $4 million. That's crazy because both have shown that they can. Maybe not win, but definitely compete in this league and can actually throw passing yards. I'm like Kenny Pickett. I love him, but I think they made the right decision.
That is your time. So minute 30 to discuss it out.
Yeah, the thing I'll definitely say about the Steelers is that this was a playoff team. I mean, whether it was luck or not, they were a playoff team whose identity is really changing right now because of that. And I think they're going to be an exciting team to watch. But as far as an impact on winning goes, I think Derrick Henry, like you said, that's the biggest name. So that's why I think this could propel the Ravens forward, which was already a team I was really excited to watch. The Steelers, I was kind of confused watching the Steelers, and now I'm also still confused, just differently.
What do you mean? I think both they took a guy from your team that won a Super Bowl. I understand probably a decade ago at this point, but a guy that definitely can compete, and even then. The team sucked. The Broncos sucked, but his stats were not that bad.
A guy that I honestly believed in. I think because he made a little bit of a late season push, and then Sean Payton benched him. I kind of believed in Russell Wilson. I like where we're going now, but I really do. So you really think the Steelers are going to come in and really propel themselves forward because of Russell Wilson?
This is unprecedented. I think even before Roethlisberger retired. I think in the timeline of Steelers very recently, they have not overhauled their team like this in years.
So it's a big thing for Steelers fans, but is it a big thing on Super Bowl chances? I think Derrick Henry is the big thing on Super Bowl.
And that is your time.
Agreed.
So Kyle, are you agreeing with Derrick Henry then on Super
Bowl chances? And I agree. Yes.
Alone. Yes, I think it moves the mark.
The Russell Wilson move was the biggest surprise change of the team and everything like that, like you said.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I think
so.
For them,
that is agreement number 6, and we'll move on to the. Let's see here. What question should I ask? Let's go back to the NBA, and let's talk about Korey's team, the Houston Rockets. So it came out that the Brooklyn Nets, or the Houston Rockets, called the Nets about a trade that would send Jalen Green to Brooklyn for Mikal Bridges. And considering how Jalen Green's been playing right now, what do you think the chances are that a trade like this goes through this NBA offseason?
You say came out as though we didn't already know that this had happened. Kyle, we agree here.
Right.
Let's talk. Mm-hmm. Okay, Mikal Bridges is great. Don't get me wrong. he is not worth a 30 points per game, taking us to the promised land. Jalen Green, formerly number 0, now number 4. Let's go, man. Like he has proven that he can be a superstar, which means that he, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun are all huge superstar potential on the Rockets. You do not throw that away for Mikal Bridges.
Sorry. Yeah, I
30
definitely
seconds.
agree. Oh my God, I was almost spit here. I totally agree. I think the jury might not be officially out for if he's a superstar, but I think he's playing very, very well.
He's averaging the second most points in the league right now. He's making the second most 3-pointers in the league. In the last 10 games, I mean, he's averaging those stats. He also has the best plus minus of any player over the past 10 games, other than, I mean, the one guy who had a 30 plus minus over one game.
All right.
Also, can I say something? I don't think the Nets trading Bridges makes any sense for them because he's under contract for the next 3 years, and it seems like they want to keep him around. I feel like so.
Yeah,
I don't know why they want to.
Yeah, and if you're the Rockets, you're not making that deal, and if you're Brooklyn, I mean, you are, but I don't get why you're having a conversation.
Okay. All right, and we will move on to our final question here, and we're going back to the NFL. So it was announced that the NFL will play games on Christmas this upcoming season, but however, the holiday falls on a Wednesday, so it kind of brings back the Steelers-Ravens mid-afternoon Wednesday game vibes. But considering the current NFL schedule right now, do you think the NFL should be playing on a holiday if it falls in the middle of a week like this? All right, Corey's got his answer. And Kyle disagrees here. So, Korey, let's hear what you have to say and why you think that.
Yeah, so I think there's two parties that you can really think of, which is the fans and the players. Kyle's going to focus on the players, so I'm also going to talk about that. We've talked about this before on the show. Having middle of the week games is just not really a healthy situation for players, and I feel like the statement that the NFL actually released just proves that they're really not worried about their players whenever they're making these kind of schedule changes. And I understand what you're saying. Hey, if they plan accordingly like this, if they're scheduling this ahead of time, it's going to be okay. I still think that come that week, they're not going to be ready to have a Monday night game, a Wednesday night game, and a Thursday night game. Most likely that week, you're playing a weird time for a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's healthy for players, and I think they got to prioritize that differently.
So I can definitely say my opinion on Thursday night games. I think they're stupid. Aside from Thanksgiving games, I think they're really, really dumb because you're giving these dudes 4 days of rest after they consistently got smacked in the head for an hour, literally an hour. And but I can admit for the NFL, it's a lot of eyeballs that you could get on a day like Christmas on the TV. I'm not trying to be a capitalist here, but I'm just saying from the perspective of the NFL, it would make sense to do it on a day like Christmas.
All right, and you guys will get a minute 30 to talk it out here.
All right, Kyle, I already compromised on my morals for Ohtani. I'm not compromising on my morals for the NFL. Well, what are we talking about here?
And again, if it were my decision, I probably would not have it on Christmas because, again, it's on a Wednesday, and I argued in my notes that you could probably introduce the Saturday games earlier than they usually do, and then you can kind of transition it a little better.
Maybe that's what you want to do. But I don't know why you would ever need to jump in on a Wednesday. Emphasize Thursday. If you still like your Thanksgiving Thursday games, which I think is a perfect way, is a perfect holiday for the way the NFL runs their schedule. I feel like you're kind of de-emphasizing those games by bringing in this emphasis on the Christmas Day games, which is a market that the NBA already has. Fans are going to be overserviced. I don't think this is really benefiting anybody. So
they've leaned, especially recently, they've leaned a lot more into the Christmas Day games. I want to say the last 2 years.
30 seconds.
But
I agree.
Again, I'm just saying, as a man, I probably wouldn't do it, but as a league, I understand it. But if
I get why, because they told me exactly why they did it, which is that they're going to get a ton of money. I get why they did it. But I am not doing that if I am them.
I agree. If I am them, but I'm not them. But I'm saying what they will do compared to what I would do. But we agree that they shouldn't do that.
Okay, so personally, in your opinions, you guys agreed that it should not
But from a
happen.
capitalist standpoint.
I understand why they're doing it because it's a lot of eyeballs and it's a lot of people.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that 7 or 8.
8.
7, 8. Perfect. So you guys will have 14 chances here to get your final 2. It is 14 because the MLB now is 7 playoff spots.
It is 7. That's just I don't think that's right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm pretty sure.
I think it's 6 from each because it used to be 5.
Well, it used to be 5. I thought they added 2, unless.
They added 2 games. They added 2 teams.
Well, I know they did the 3-game series. I thought it was the old. It's the old NFL. Okay.
Yeah, it's the NFL.
See, they changed it to be the old NFL rules, NFL playoff rules, and then the NFL changed theirs. So I got it confused because I thought the MLB was doing that. Okay, but it's 1 through 6. So you have 12. It's fine. So you're gonna go through and you're gonna give your seeding for the upcoming MLB playoffs in October. So let's just go from 1 seed to 6 seed then, I guess. And then we'll do American League first, National League, and then we'll be done. So who do you guys have as the number 1 overall seed in the American League for the postseason? Number 1, best team in the American League regular season.
Oh, I was very close to doing Orioles. I had Houston above them.
All right, so that is one disagreement. So I assume, Kyle, you have the Orioles at 2 then.
I have Orioles 2.
All right, and Korey, who do you have at 3 or 2? Sorry?
At 2? I have the Rangers.
Rangers. Okay. All right. So at 3, this is probably your American League Central team. So maybe you guys get a point here.
Yeah. I have the Twins.
I have
Kyle. All right. So that was 1 point. There you go. Let's go to the 4 seed, the wild cards now in the American League.
This is probably
Tampa
where your
Bay.
Astros are. Oh, Tampa.
I don't believe in the Astros.
Did you have? You have the Astros?
I have them in the playoffs, but
All right. Okay.
My
6 seed
was the Rangers.
or 5 seed? 5 seed.
Astros
Yankees.
And Kyle. Yankees. All right. And the 6 seed, the final seed in the American League.
I put Seattle.
Yeah, you had Seattle.
Yeah.
I did not. I don't think I did a 16 because I think I was running off a 10. Yeah.
Okay. Well. Anyways.
Well, these are here. It's fine.
Yeah, so let's go to the National League, and maybe you guys will agree on this one. You should, maybe. Though there's another sneaky team here that could be, but who do you guys have as the 1 seed in the National League?
The LA Dodgers.
All right, and there you go. Maybe one of you said the Braves, but who knows? But the Dodgers are obviously the clear answer as of now.
I had Braves 2, Cubs 3, Phillies 4, D-backs.
Oh, man.
6.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, did you not have the Diamondbacks?
He said D-backs 6.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay, I was like, what? You don't have them
5.
in your wild card game?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but anyways, you guys reached set agreements, so you avoided a punishment in the first episode of Season 2 of the Banter podcast. But it's time to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back at the same time, same place next week. Happy opening day. Happy March Madness. Go enjoy those games after, of course, you watch the Banter podcast.
And whenever while you're waiting for next week, we're gonna have a lot of content. We're gonna have stuff on
yes,
Instagram.
sir.
Kyle is gonna be tweeting.
Popping up.
He's
yes,
gonna
sir.
get those tweets going. So you can stay engaged with us, stay engaged with the sports world.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah. So make sure you go follow us on all social media platforms because we are going to be coming out with content, pumping it out. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.